Okay, let me show you real quick how to sew on a button. That way you won't have to get rid of your favorite shirt or your favorite pair of pants just because the button came off. I've got 3 different kinds of buttons here. A 4-hole, a 2-hole, and then what we call a shank button. It's got the shank on the bottom, okay? Let's start with the 4-hole. And I put the dots on the fabric where I'm going to put the button. And I have 2 layers of fabric, so it'll be a little bit easier to sew. Okay, a length of thread, 24 to 36 inches. Probably 24 is good. Snip it off. And I just have a regular sewing needle here. Going to slip that in right through the eye of the needle. All right, I got it now. It's just a regular, this is what they call a betweens needle, quilting needle. Okay, pull this end of the thread. You can see I have them both in my hand. You want to get them even-ish. As close as possible. Even them out. And we're going to tie them together. When you sew on a button, it's a lot more efficient if you use both strands of thread with a knot at the end. So just pull that through, and then I'm going to make another knot right on top of this one. So I'll have a good strong knot. Just make sure that you get them right on top, okay? And then I'll trim off some of that excess, okay? Now we're ready to put the button on. Pull the needle tight so that your thread is even now, okay? All right, let's do the 4-hole first. I want to put this button right here on top of this dot. So before you put the button down, you're going to go in on the top side of the fabric, okay? That way your knot will be right underneath your button so it won't show. So go in and then come right back up, right beside that. And while you're holding the needle there, put the button on top of the needle, okay? Now, you can either go side to side and make 2 straight stitches, or you can make an X. What I would do, it doesn't matter. If you have other buttons on your garment, look at those and see. If you need to make the X, you're going to go corner to corner, back and forth. And if you have side to side, you'll be going, you know, top to bottom, side to side. Okay, I'm going to do the X in this one. So now I'm going to go in right there, and then let me get my thread. That's why you don't want too long a piece of thread, because it just makes a mess. And tighten that up. Not too tight, because if it's too tight, your button will just pop right back off. So just snug, and you know, after you get it there, you can loosen it up just a little bit. Some people even put a needle under this while they're sewing so that it keeps a little bit of slack in there. But for our purposes, we're just, now right here, you're kind of just gonna have to feel around until eventually you'll come out the other hole. Just poke around a little bit, coming back up, and then go back in that hole. And back and forth. Now I'm going to come up. Let's see. There it is. Found it. Coming up this hole. Back down this one. And then And by then you can kind of cheat and turn over on the other side and see where you went in the last time, and lo and behold, that helps you out, okay? So, and let's get maybe one more stitch each way. Looking to see where I went in there. One more this way. And back over. See, I'm going to go in right there. One more this way. Okay. And if it's something that you're going to have a lot of stress on, you could do some more. Okay, now turn your button over, and I'm going to have to lay it down for this. We're going to secure it. We're going to tie a knot on the back, and I'm probably going to do 2. Let me show you a little bit better how I'm doing that knot, okay? All right, I'm just going to hold up the thread and wrap the needle under it and then come up through it. And you see that's going to make a nice, I'm going to hold my finger over it to keep it down towards the bottom, okay? Now I've got my nice knot. Now what you want to do is come back through the hole. Oops, I'm sorry. You're going to go back through, come up here, give it a little tug to make sure it's tight, and then cut your thread off on the top of the button. Okay? Now, there's your 4-hole. Okay, I actually think I have enough thread left on my needle to do the 2-hole. So, going to tie a knot, bring that through, and then I'm going to tie another knot. And if you can do a 4-hole button, most assuredly you can do it too, because it's pretty much the same process. Okay, I got that tight, and that's a little bit long again, so I'm going to snip that off. Okay. All right. Once again, where the dot is, that's where I want my button. So I'm going to go in through the top side. There's where my knot will be. It's going to sit right there. And then come back up, kind of close. Come back up part way. Drop the button on top of it. And pull it on through. Then you're ready to go side to side. On a 2-hole button, that's the only choice. There's no X to make. You can only go side to side. So, side to side. And then if it's hard to stab it, you can turn back over here and see where your last stitch went in. And, well, it didn't go all the way through, but I can come back in a little bit. Well, I lost it. It's harder to do with a camera in between you and your fingers. So, let me stab it. And I got it that time. Okay. And snug it up a little bit. And here we have a mess. All you got to do is just tug on it a little bit. It's just slip knots that get tied in there, and you can slip them right out, just like they slipped right in. So, sometimes I think it's good when you see other people making a mess, because you know that, you know, you're not the only one. Okay, now see, I have it all tightened up on the back, and the thread is all nice and straight. So I'm going to go in, see if I can't do this a little more efficiently this time, and come right back up. And Okay, so I would probably, if I were really doing the button, I'd probably go a couple more times, and you can trim that little end off if you want to. Turn it over on your back, on the back, and thread to the side. You're going to come under the thread and then go through the loop that you just made and hold that knot while you pull on the thread, and then tie another one, and then go right back in. Bring your needle up to this side, tug it a little bit, and trim that thread. Okay, now the last one is a shank, and I still have thread left, so I don't have to thread the needle again. Whew. Okay, get your ends even. We're going to tie the couple of knots. Here goes 1, and I lost a tail through there. I can poke it on through there. There we go. And try to get that knot right on top of the other one. Just scooching and pulling. There we go. Just like the other 2 buttons, I'm going to go in the top part of the fabric, right on the dot. And then I'm going to come up, and I'll definitely have to trim that tail. Okay, now you only have your shank has got a hole in it. So just drop that onto your needle, push it on up, pull it through, and then it can fall off a little bit for this time because you're going to have to go in again before you can anchor it. And then make sure it's not twisted. And now it's on. All you're going to do is come up on the underside like this, go through the hole like that, and then go right back down. Don't get in a hurry, because that's when, now see, one side is tighter than the other, but if you just keep pulling, it'll pull that on out. And let's go one more time. Up from the under, stick it through the shank hole, then go back down on the other side. Okay, and just like the others, we're going to flip it over. We're going to hold the thread off to the left and come under it, and then through that loop, and then hold it so that you get a tight knot. Once again, I'm going to hold my thread out to the left, bring the needle under it, kind of wrap it around, catch it on the other side, and then see I'm pulling towards the left. That's what keeps it down there. So the more you pull, keep it towards the left, okay? And then still, I'm going to go back up to the other side of the fabric before I trim my thread off. Just like that. Now, you never have to get rid of a garment again just because you couldn't sew on a button.